Even talk to me. All right then. He's just here to look pretty and I don't know, imitate Tim as best as you can. The difference is Tim's now grown hair. Joke's on you. He's indeed sorting himself out with the headset, so he will be with us in just a second, but until then, we'll get into our map vetoes. Kicking things off is going to be Cyclops with their attacking ban, and Jack, I'm not going to be surprised if we see things like the Thatcher coming through. Will indeed be the first one. Things like the Mirror might come through as well. You might find yourself with the Valkyrie, with the Kaid, all the things that we are more than used to seeing at this level of play.
Exactly so.
Welcome, mate.
Here. Thank you. Just having a little bit of headset difficulty. No surprise seeing an OSA ban coming out. We saw how effectively Anderson in particular is able to use that shield operator last week. So get rid of it, get it gone. OSA also, as I've seen in the scrims a couple of times, when you play in the armory site, it is so hard to defend a post-plant against the OSA.
Absolutely. And OSA, I think, is one that you're looking at and thinking, well, we know that Cyclops play this. We've seen them play Monty. We've seen them play OSA. Basically, if it's a shield, they are going to play it at some time or another.
Mirror ban coming out as well against CAG. They ran it 100% last week. They ran it 100% last week when it was available.
You know what? I need to do this because it's going to really tilt me. Production, we can hear Fabian. Please stop me from having to listen to him any further. Please turn him off before I go crazy.
Was trying to make a point with Fabian going on in the background. But yeah, so when Mirror was available on Bank last week, CAG ran it 100%. It's the same again on Border, is that CAG probably would have ran it, particularly facing kind of the armory wall in the kind of office outside of there. So just get rid of it, get it gone, and just remove two of CAG's best operators. I'm liking that ban phase coming out of T1.
Yeah, I like it in terms of the Mozzie as well. Something a bit spicy coming from Cyclops. Never one you're going to say no to. Wouldn't say boots of a goose, wouldn't say no to the ban. As we start in the most, I don't want to say the most well-known site in the game, but for the OGs, this is one of those sites that you look at and just go, classic Siege. You look at it at the pro level, you go, please never let me play that again. Fabian very much shares my sentiment towards this map overall, but I think, like you were saying, you're relatively excited to see what teams are doing. You watched a few scrims of it as well. What are you expecting in this first round?
I mean, as I said, I was expecting teams... So the fight really is going to be for CCTV.
Yes.
That's why you're seeing these long angles come out along the long hallway, along the break room. It's so that teams can pop the heads out of where the triple wall is in office, as you see a shield playing there. It means they can rotate to E-Says. It means they can play the long hallway and really have multiple angles to contest into break room and around CCTV. And I think for defenders on this map, you really got to get oppressive. You really got to try and deny the points of entry. Otherwise, you will very likely lose the round.
Oh no. Well, it wouldn't be a re-entry back into Tier 1 play without something like that going on, huh? We'll see how we go through the round, though, and see how things play out. For 11, it's going to be the solo operator here out towards the east side of the map and looking to deny the one who's sat here inside of the office hallway. They've got this reverse shield set up as well and just making sure no nades can come singing through all too easy.
I promise you that the players are not seeing this. This is just an observer point of view. Otherwise, we would be seeing a lot in chat. But exactly, we look how oppressive they're trying to be. They're trying to contest windows, particularly Suzuki here. He's got a door. He's got two doorways to the top east stairs and also to break room. And it really is about who gets these opening picks.
It is indeed. In this case, no one yet to find one. We are 60 seconds in already. They've got themselves set up around multiple windows. As mentioned, you had 11 out towards the east. Most of the players now have moved out towards this west balcony. Trying to dig the player out is sat in. It was a great nade coming over the top, but just a little bit too cooked, a little bit too long left inside of the oven. But here we go with the smoke coming out onto the wall to help them charge their way forwards up towards the doorway. They're thinking about how they can step in. It's Gadarada to find Mephi, one of the standout players, if not the standout player for T1 across the last couple of play days. Arakazi bringing one back, a 4 versus 4 and 90 seconds left.
I think to set the scene, the attackers now have a lot of time to play with. The next objective is to obviously breach the armory wall. Then they're going to look to clear Black Ray out, look to clear the player playing that half wall out, and then look for a plant on the breach or just on the doorway there. However, there's a shield, there's utility, there's a gun. The Fairmite charge will come in as Black Ray does look to get the peek onto the Fairmite, kills the Fairmite, and crucially keeps that wall intact.
It does indeed, for now at least, holding on. That one side being left soft as well. Normally you'd see it hard reinforced off, electrified, but it's enough just to jam the left side off here and use the left side to be able to swing. 2 more kills flying in for Cyclops here. It's a 4 versus 1, and Arakaze, well, he's pulled off some miraculous 4Ks so far throughout APAC North, but something tells me this won't be the round where he finds one. The long angle there from Iagator finds the instant headshot, and round number 1 goes the way of Cyclops.
And I think that's exactly what we expected to see. So again, just to set the scene on Border, is that it really is the battle of the entries. It really is the battle of the map control. if you're getting the entry as the defenders and you're managing to hold on for large parts of the map, you know, the top east shield there, for example, completely just not touched whatsoever. Office was held onto. Even CCTV and break room until about a minute to go was held onto. Is so hard for the attackers to move. Conversely, had the attackers picked that apart, it would have been so hard to defend.
Cyclops just being really slippery there as well, because even when they were trying to chuck nades at them, they were already like, yeah, we're out of dodge, we're back into 90 hallway. There's no one trying to cut from the east side because we had the Wamai holding that down. It was just very good cover to make sure all the players could get back to site safely, and you saw how that paid dividends for them in the end of things as well. For round number 2, we go down to Bathroom and Tellus, and not Vent's Workshop that you might be used to seeing. This one, as a site itself, I would say has changed quite a bit, of course. You no longer have the outside area outside the double reinforced wall. Bathroom now extends entirely out towards the east. So, could see some different things coming in here. We often see vertical holes come in as well. Now you can do that a little bit more, but we'll see what the angle of attack is for T1 and then how aggressively Cyclops are going to hold.
This site is fast becoming the secondary site for most teams on this map. And the reason being is it's actually very hard to play vertically above the Teller's site, and the attackers tend to waste a lot of time going above and trying to get vertical. However, the vertical only extends onto Workshop and Bathroom, as you can kind of...
No, you can't. Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it, as you can see, as we could kind of see. So, for once again, the defenders, a big mistake defenders make here is not spending too much time upstairs. If you give away the vertical, there's very few places that you can play because of the existence of this new balcony just inside of where 11 is.
Absolutely. And you saw them working with what you spoke about over on the desk as well, from what you see in a couple of scrims, things like the castle being brought along, the Kaids here as well.
Yeah.
No Rooney, for example, being mixed in just yet. A mirror band away does mean it's not going to be the impenetrable fortress that it could be if they were available, but you still do a lot to kind of open up these walkways through which the defenders can relatively safely navigate. Of course, when those start getting broken open, things can get pretty scary pretty quickly, but with how fluid Cyclops were last round, I'm not too concerned for them.
And that's the thing, is the fluidity. That's why you bring in the castle. You cut off the lines of sight. So you see 11 here. He would normally have a long line of sight all the way down to 90, be able to cut off half of the top floor just from one angle. Use the castles. You've got the rotates. You can slip in and out. You can have some very, very slippy movement, and then spring up when they don't expect you.
It's the same thing again as last round, by the way, worth mentioning, this west main wall.
Yeah, the half reinforced.
Half being reinforced.
Yeah.
Too easy. Arakaze sees him twice as 4, even has to shoot and pull the trigger there. Black Ray, the first death coming out for Cyclops, a little bit cheeky coming in. Considering you're on this extended hold here and you're essentially looking at a defense on the downstairs out to the east and you're on the upstairs to the west, you could not be further away from sight, and Arakaze is just charging through these members out on the roam. Cyclops getting themselves bitten, biting off a little bit more they can chew is the best way I can summarize it, but now they've really got to show what they're made of in a 3 versus 5.
It's the way the map plays out. It's one of them where you're somewhat happy to be in a 3v5 if you've played enough time. I don't think Cyclops quite played enough time then and valued their lives, but it forces the vertical to start coming out at about a minute, which means you can just play the power positions mainly inside of Tellers and also the back of Bathroom and try and find picks.
It's just one of them rounds. I was about to call you Tim. I was going to say it's one of those rounds fresh where Arakaze is just going to walk through the enemy team. Already found himself a 3. No doubt looking for number 4 and number 5 to complete the ace, but it is a team game. You don't want to be too greedy. As long as you find the win, who really cares how it comes through? With about 45 seconds left, though, he is getting to work on this top floor, trying to find these last 2 rats that are scurrying around downstairs. However, as again being fluid, Cyclops have relatively moved away from the site. You've got Irrigator here sat inside of Customs out towards supply side as one now charges in through Passport, and I don't think he saw the man step in. Suzu C could be in for a bit of a nasty surprise here if he's not careful, but Mephi going in for the plant. Knows there's one outside in front of the side of the waiting room, but with the plant being stuck and a 2 versus 4, make it a 1 versus 4 post plant. This one's looking to be all wrapped up. It's another Arakaze special, a 4K in the round, maybe on for a 5th, unless Irrigator can pull off an absolute miracle.
The retake on this site is almost impossible. You see a player on the upside down rappel, a player playing from site, and presumably a couple of players playing vertically, which means Irrigator, to be honest, it might be easy for him to just take a little tack time out, have a think with his team about how the next round's going to go, if they're going to go back to this site, what adaptations they're going to make, or if they're going to go to a new site.
And he's just waiting for the one man to step forward, but I think, as you said, Irrigator knows this round is done. There's not much.
Already, we talked about the battle of the entries. They've already lost it before the attackers.
And it's like, no, I'm the entry now.
I am the entry.
He's ready. Look, it happens. It happens. I mean, that's probably going for a drone or something. It's like when you TK'd Tim when you were playing together.
That was Tim's fault for putting his head there.
It's always their fault for putting their head there, mate. It's never the fault of you going for the drone, ever. But here, at least, we've got a little bit of setup out towards supply. We've got some other players playing on the upstairs as well as we came to expect, but not yet. May well change. Some holes being opened up into this west main wall. It's being hard reinforced off with a mute jammer at the foot of it as well. So we are seeing that extension that we expected to see. The one maybe into customs, a little bit less so. But that's more, I think, to deny out here on towards the double doorway if someone tries to get a bit cheeky.
I know you like your call outs, Des. So can you just clarify the west main wall? Is that the armory wall?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Just wanted to double check that.
I think it's the number of times I've heard people be like, oh, they're attacking West Main. I'm like, West Main? That's like a chalet call out. But then they're just like, no, West Main. I'm like, all right.
The West Main balcony.
Yeah, West Main balcony, yeah. I just call it West Main wall
and therefore
as well.
the wall that you would go for from that balcony.
Yes.
I understand. It's a logical call out.
I always like compass call outs. It's more directional rather than being like this call out on this wall. People are then like, oh, well, what's that call out if they don't know what it is?
Yep, I heard.
So pushing in from the east side, pushing west, they're attacking south. You know, I just like it.
Yep. I mean, there's east stairs is a very common place on border, especially on an old border, so having a west call makes a lot of sense.
So when you come into a new map and people are like, oh, he's on marble stairs, he's on red stairs, he's on this colour, he's on another word for it, and it's like, okay, well, which one's that? Directional is the way to go, in my opinion. Either way, let's look at how things go and to try and get into the west side of the map here through the west main wall. They're starting things out with an open up. There's still a mute jammer on it in this case. Yes, there is, but I think it might just be a bit too far across to get away with it. And with it now being shot off, sure enough, easy enough to open up. And no wild swings coming in from the side of Cyclops means no early entry death this time. Arakaze not quite going on a killing spree just yet.
I was curious about what that C4 was doing. It just looks like a miss throw from Alligator there. Yeah. I think one thing the CAG have done especially well, obviously they lost the entry to the team kill, but they've maintained 4 players for 2 minutes of the round. And it still means that they've got control. They've got C4s on hand. Although 11 has got rid of Alligator, that only leaves 2 C4s now. And Aniton on the top east stairs.
He's got some work to do this round.
Kill. He's got work to do because he's not a C4 operator. He can't drop down. Realistically, he needs to stay upstairs, try to be as disruptive as possible.
So, cast the curse to the max. Let's go. Crazy Boy steps in and finds another who I do want to raise this week has stepped off the hard support role and has been doing much better. The longer angle coming in from Mephi, who had control of the east stairs, gets the final kill. And T1 close out another round here with 4 still left alive at the end of it.
Yeah, and border doing border things. You just got nowhere to play once the attackers actually have a foothold in the map. Once they've established a little bit of position, rotates hard. You see, you know, Arakaze. Was it Arakaze? Was trying to play. Not Arakaze. It was Aniton trying to play on the east stairs.
Yep.
Trying to
shot in the
just
back
be in
by
an off
Mephi.
position, just get shot in the back because the attackers can be so fluid with the balconies outside, and there's very little room to move inside for the defenders.
I'm very surprised I haven't seen Cyclops outside on a balcony yet at some point. Some kind of jump out, you know, it's kind of their forte. Teams at international events fear this team because of that kind of aggression. We have yet to see it. Anyway, we have gone through those last 2 sites. The Bathroom Tellers and Vents Workshop are off the table. T1 have won both of those on the attacking side. So Cyclops is saying, right, not doing too well on those sites. Let's go back to the one that we know we can find success on, and it's going to be Armory Archives. The one pick that really jumps to my eyes here, though, is going to be that cap can coming out for Aniton. Of course, well, not really recently now, it was a good 6 months ago, we saw the ability to stack these on multiple doorways, which can, not all the time, kill people when they walk through if it does the double amount of damage. In other cases, it's more the fear it puts in the attacking side. It slows them down. You've got to drone most doorways before you step in. And that moment of slowness, that hesitation, can be what leads to a difference between getting a kill or not, and ultimately winning the round or not.
I think one thing that is probably overlooked when people talk about border, because they think it's a very hard map to defend, and it is a very hard map to defend, is just how fluid you can be with the choice of defenders. You see previously on the Alibi, this time on the Cap Can, you can really choose what you want in terms of what's working for you, what you feel comfortable on, because it is all about those gunfights. You can bring the utility is almost secondary in this case, when on a lot of defensive setups, the utility is the primary thing that you think about.
I was going to say in the last round as well, the Alibi being the one that got picked off in the The unfortunate TK very few seconds into the round. The only thing really lost was a shield, which maybe suggests why Anderton was having more difficulty out towards these east stairs than he would be in this round, because here there is a shield for Suzuki to sit and play behind. Now, with it being on as well, no C4s on side, Gadget not really super impactful to a setup. You'll be quite thankful for it. This round at least, no TK coming in at the start, thank God.
Is that how we're basing on if a round is good or not? Is
Absolutely. Have you TK'd someone in the setup? Yay or nay?
Mephi's going to look to entry. He does get one on Scatterado. He knows the peak's probably going to come back out from Suzuki. It does, and that's a nice refrag. Map control is still being held by Cyclops. If they can get the peak out onto the sofa here, get themselves another kill, it will be really good defensive.
Ooh, but 11 finds one back down to a slither of HP, mind you, and Crazy Boy again on this Twitch is doing really well. It's crazy to see, like, I mean, Suzuki gets one back, but seeing these other two members looking at 11 and Crazy Boy have kind of woken up in the last week or so. It's nice to see them stepping back into the field and making things happen. Suzuki, for now at least, still holding off towards the east side 11 with a slither of HP, just poking his nose inside of Archives, looking for even a whiff of an enemy defender, just waiting. But here comes Crazy Boy moving at some pace. Suzuki getting one back, but it's a 1 versus 2 here. Crazy Boy and PJH bearing down on Irrigator, who works his way back up main. The plant being stuck, will not be able to find the man here. He steps inside the beepers. He knows exactly what's going to happen next. Through he comes here. The swing comes in, can't quite find the shots, and PJH with a rare kill gets the plant and ends the round for T1.
I'm curious again, Des, and I'm curious why the Valkyrie is running impacts. Because there was pings coming out, you would expect to see fall from below. No, there's still impacts in the pocket, especially with Wamai. I think Wamai actually had the proximity alarms, the wee-woo gadgets, as I call them.
The wee-woos.
The wee-woos. But there was a mute, and I don't know if I didn't see if the mute was running the MP5K, as I know you like to. However, it feels a bit kind of moot to bring a Valkyrie, but then not have the C4 on hand to use that information.
For that site especially, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Either way, the only way it's boiled down to things is they are down 3-1 on the side of Cyclops here. Not a great defensive half. You've alluded to this might be an attack-leaning border we're going to see more and more of over the coming weeks. And so far, T1 definitely proving the point. But it is good, again, like I've said in the previous round, to see a couple of members that have been quite historically really stepping back up. I felt there was kind of a curse last week to several members of, to the supportive players of T1. Because think back to Crazy Boy when he was playing hard support last week. 0-4 an entry in one of those games. He was like 3-9. It was not going well. PJH has kind of taken on that curse, or at least in the first couple of rounds where he was 0-2, wasn't really getting involved. But since we've had the rehost, everyone on T1 is getting involved in rounds. And we knew when we saw the drastic changes coming in, they made like 3 roster changes towards the back end of 2021. We knew it would be a time-based thing for these guys, and you're slowly starting to see it come together.
And it's the confidence that we talked about on the desk. I'm referencing myself here, but we talked about how...
It's the confidence that genius on the desk spoke about earlier
that
on.
Genius, he speaks a lot of sense on that desk. You should listen to him a little bit more. But it is confidence. Teams, they scraped a win against Fnatic.
Yeah.
Fnatic were incredibly poor. And I'm just
I did wonder how harsh you're going to go.
They were
then.
incredibly poor. Arakazi got a 1v3. You know, it's a 7-5 win. That round goes the other way. It's a 7-5 win to Fnatic, right? But they got to win, and that builds up the confidence. And when T1 are making confident plays, are a confident team, they are a threat because they do have people that can win a lot of gunfights.
Well, things set up here. Just looking across the lineup once again. We have corrected the mistake from the last round. There is indeed now a C4 in the Valkyrie's back pocket. They have 3 of them on side, and you would come to expect that given the site that we are playing on here. Whether you are defending top floor or the downstairs, it doesn't really matter. Attackers will be stepping into that upstairs territory first, getting vertical control, forcing the defenders off site, and then looking for an execute. It reminds me a lot of Kitchen on Coastline, for example. You often see that play out the same way. Same sort of jig here coming through. Anderton, at least outliving himself compared to previous here, sat inside of Armory. It depends how much time he can waste, though, because last time Arakaze just marched through the team set out here. Right now, it's Mephi and PJH starting to get themselves set up, and they'll be looking for that entry.
And it's absolutely okay that Anderton dies. It's absolutely okay that he dies. He's meant to die in this scenario. If he can get a kill, even better. But if he can waste up to another 30 seconds here, he's set his team up well, because it's all about delaying defenders so that ultimately they can't achieve any vertical above the site itself.
Just take out the drones, take out the men if you can, otherwise take out the clock as best you can. There is a man charging in, gets the swing, but a little bit too far right aligned there. And it's a Mephi with another entry in the game as well. The second now in a row, leads into a second from 11. T1 starting to fire on all cylinders, but Suzushi finds a trade back on the other side. One man goes down. It's a 4 versus 2 for the side of T1. Crazy Boy again getting himself involved in the round before Ayagator trades him back out. So 2 good trades from Cyclops in the mid-round, but they still find themselves down a man.
Yeah, so Suzushi got a kill, but however, because Aniton had died, that meant that the players playing underneath that were attacking Workshop were able to enter the building, were able to get in because there was no vertical cover. However, Blackray, he's staying stubborn, and he can be a big win condition for his team here because he can flank, he can also get back on that balcony that's just above where PJH is going to push into.
Classic Blackray, that is. Classic. To still be aggressive, to still be moving aggressively, to still be willing to take challenges, even when your team is starting to bleed out. That's just him to a T. The MPX, the P shooter, not quite landing any shots onto the man on the other side. I think he tickled him a little bit, but nowhere enough to actually bring him down. Here comes Blackray, who's moved to the complete other side of the map and got himself down the east stairs. I don't know if there's a flank drone sat down here, but PJH is going to go in for the plant. Do they have the cross on him? The plant should get stuck here, no problem at all. And now enter a post plant. Both members of T1 sandwiched out to the east here, but they've got the window, and that's the scary part. The C4 comes in. One man on the window loses out. Ayagator, a massive 3K in the round. Cyclops going to get their second round on the board by taking round number 5.
Massive retake, and I was actually a bit puzzled about how they were going to do it, and it was the C4 and ultimately the peak. I think the last attacker live there played it ultimately a little bit poorly, peeking the window because he really could have baited the jump outs. As you said, there's no wall there. On Old Border, there would have been a wall there.
It would have been open, they'd be out. It would have been open,
they'd have been out. There's only a window, but he could have very easily, because the plant spot was right under the window, why is he not upside down repelling? Because the defenders, they either have to then completely retake to go out of the balcony above from Archives, or they've got to jump out of a window. Both are in his advantage because he either gets time or kills. I think that was a misplay in the post plant there, and CAG will be absolutely thanking their lucky stars for that round.
There's a bit of panic as well from PJH, like, oh, if I try and vault outside here, I'll probably get caught in the animation, I die anyway. Yeah. May as well sit tight and try and go for the gunfights that ultimately didn't come his way. But for their last defensive round, Cyclops are going to step back up into Armory and Archives. We've seen them win it once, we've seen them lose it another. Now, if we're rolling by the rules of momentum here, T1, they've got that movement on side now. They're the ones who are looking strong. They're the ones that are winning gunfights. Sure, they just lost that round a second ago. It was a big comeback for Cyclops, ultimately, who had some fantastic mid-round trades to make sure they still had a way to fight back in that round. So for T1, you're looking for the win here. You're looking for the 4-2. Cyclops, no doubt, looking for the 3 versus 3 before they get their swing at the baton on attack.
I think, again, it's all going to come down to that Battle of East Stairs. We've seen it happen a couple of times, and it looks very similar in terms of the setup. Aniton this time, however, is playing the Valkyrie with the C4. Blackray, he's on the alibi. I love her. Fabian doesn't. Gets the opening kill, gets the spawn peak off the board, and crucially, Des, that is the entry going to the defenders. The first time that's happened since round 1 when CAG got their first round on the board.
Surely a sign to go with, and that's going to back up your stat line a little bit, isn't it? You'll be happy with that one. I know in the last round it was a mixed affair. Who got the entry in the last round?
I don't know who got it, but it was definitely T1. In terms of the individual player, I'm not sure who got it.
So even though
that's the first round where the entry didn't go the way.
Cyclops won the rounds. That's going to fudge your stat line.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's why I was being critical about Cyclops.
You're absolutely livid, mate.
Yeah, I'm fuming.
I'm fuming. Medics will be living off that one later on, I tell you that much for nothing. Let's see how this sets up, though. For now, at the very least, we've got a couple starting out towards the east. Crazy Boy especially starting to work his way out round here to the top side of Archives, I'd expect, to get someone to threaten on that window. The others, no doubt, going to work out towards that west balcony and start looking in towards the Armory wall. Mephi holding the angle and finds an absolute freebie. Across comes one. Could have found a second, but narrowly missing out on Blackray there. That could have been a huge 2K for the new player.
And that's control gained of CCTV, of break room, realistically of long and short from the attackers. Although Ayagator is saying, not if I've got anything to do about it. And I think, I just saw at the corner of my eye, the Oryx go back up the hatch. I'm loving this Oryx play on Gatorada.
Here we go then, seeing the man. Now they know that he's there. They've had a couple of shots and dashes right into the line of sight.
I'm cursing people today.
Oh, just stop talking, Fresh. They don't want to hear it. We don't need to hear it. No one needs to hear it. Cyclops especially don't need to. A 4 versus 2, but again, another trade coming back in that mid-round point as Arakazi goes down. Suzushi going nuclear with the shotgun. It's a 2 versus 1, though. Can the last man hold out firm here as well? It's Blackray, the hero on the alibi. Fabian versus Fresh. Who's Whose opinion comes out on top? We're going to find out in the next 10 seconds, I'm sure. He's holding on to sight at least for now, and the other two have rotated themselves out towards the east. They see the angle. Crazy Boy gets the kill, and Fabian wins on that opinion battle.
Yeah, he does. He wins on most battles, to be honest. You know, we go in the World Championships battle, you know, pro player, whatever. I'm succumbing to Fabian's greatness there, and I'm going to stop talking about it. However, 4-2 split is about what you would expect on the attacking half, and I think what I actually wonder, there we go, curious.
I guess it fits, yeah.
Aniton is known for his Monty plays. I think Monty can be super oppressive on this map.
Well, with the Osa's banned away.
Yeah, particularly in terms of clearing out the maps. You think CC, you think top east, you think long short. There's a lot of angles where the defenders can't get a peek on you and you could just force them. We saw how easy it was to cut the rotate from break room onto that rotate from 90. You can just stand on the break room door, you've cut the break room door, the rotate into break room, and the rotate out of CCTV. If you've got a Monty, you can just walk the Monty in and really force the defenders to move straight into those lines of sight.
With the Osa being banned, I mean, this is the thing for a lot of Japanese teams, I imagine, who have to play against Cyclops in the Japanese league. They look at it and go, ha-ha, 30% Monty ban rate. We've definitely got Aniton shut down. And then here comes Osa, and he finds a way to be even more infuriating with that operator.
Yeah.
No yet sign of a shield-based operator, but I imagine if attack doesn't go too well for them, then maybe they'll change things up. For now, rather than a DKB, rather than a shield operator, he is going to sit on the Yana, playing that primary entry role alongside Ayagator.
And I think once again we're seeing the value of 1.5 times scopes. Arakazi there on the Oryx, Mephi on the Alibi. I'm assuming Crazy Boy's going to be rocking one. And if 11, I'm assuming 11's got one. That's 4 1.5
Church
times.
of MK14 1.5
Well, it's
times.
the Church of the 1.5s, right?
That's it.
It's not just the MK14. And that's what you want because you need to challenge a lot of long angles on border as defenders.
Yeah, the MK14 1.5x is like a cult inside the Church of the 1.5x.
I'm still not recruited.
No, we'll get you in there one day, mate.
Myself.
You don't have a choice. You'll be in there one day. Trust me. Okay. Yeah. For now, Demos retains you over on the other side, and he's Church of Hollow.
I don't want to think about that.
Church of Hollow, mate. He's got you. Talk to me.
I don't know what to say about that. Anyway, I'm going to talk about the game because that is my job.
That's what I mean.
We've got a CCTV code coming out with shields and Alibi Prismas. If Mephi knows a lot of the angles on this spot, and it seems he does, you see that very long angle all the way to East Stairs. You see a shield and another long angle all the way to East Stairs. Clearly, T1 do not want Cyclops attacking from East Stairs.
We spoke about it earlier on with the Osa and the ability it gives you to challenge these long angles. If the defenders have got shields and you haven't, you're going to have a torrid time trying to push down things like the long hallway down towards 90. It's just not going to be a free and easy game for you. Arakaze, the first to fall. The Oryx gone, the multi-kill hero who has been quiet since the rehost. We did say this. 4 rounds, not really any impact at all to be noticed outside of 1 kill. Suzushi finding a second onto Mephi, who's had a pretty good entry game overall so far. So 2 key players on the side of T1 have been taken down. It all now falls to PJH, Crazy Boy, and 11 to keep this round alive for T1.
Really liking this from Cyclops. They're saying, if you want to play the long angles, that's fine. We're just going to take the space you're not controlling, i.e. the bottom floor of the map, use our buck and just kill you from underneath. We don't even need to go into East Stairs to try and contest that gunfight that's just not in our favour. We'll put that gunfight, we'll take it in our favour, and we'll use the buck to do so.
Absolutely. Here at least still looking to challenge across this top floor. Much as Cyclops have now relocated themselves upstairs and are looking to push laterally. A bunch moving out towards the office as the members of T1 just dig in deep here. All 3 of them locked inside of sight and waiting to discover where this push is going to come from. As mentioned, it looks like office is going to be that play. Maybe even in towards archives if they carry on at this sort of pace rather than trying to just get themselves inside of office. But maybe it's a case of holding down the door for them. Crazy Boy knowing they aren't too far away. Will he go for a swing? Looks for the man on the near side, but no one to be found as he has already stepped down the stairs. Sees him come up, but Black Ray's just better. Crazy Boy falling by the wayside. A 5 versus 2. Aniton taken down as he's getting chipped through the wall. Hits the deck, but then hits the deck for good not long after. 11 finding the kill. Now into a 2 versus 4 and 15 seconds to play. But CAG have flooded the site at this point. PJH left all alone. They know where he is. They get the swing. Cyclops win it out with 4 left alive. A very dominant start to their attacking half.
And I think that's the big problem. Now CAG have 2 defenses. It seems very, very odd to say. You've got 2 defenses. That's a platform to build on going into the second half. It's now only 4-3, and it doesn't look like CAG are going to lose an attack anytime soon. So I start worrying for T1 that they didn't actually get a 5-1 attack split.
I'll give it a couple of rounds. We saw it back in the first half where Cyclops won the first round of defense, and I got, okay, they're looking good. And then T1 swung it back 3 rounds in a row.
They've got to go to the offsite, true.
They do. I mean, if we're following trends, we saw Bathroom Tellers in round 2. It was won by T1 on the attacking side. Yep, so maybe we see a total switch over here and things do start to mix up. I'm curious to see what the variances are in their defense, and the first thing I'm drawing my eyes to is going to be one of the Oryx, and second is going to be that Thunderbird Fresh.
I think we saw how the Oryx, it was in a previous round, how the Oryx is actually able to get back up the hatch, retake some of the control. It's an ability, sorry, I was trying to say utility. It's an ability that Oryx has that I think a lot of people thought was potentially a little bit overpowered when Oryx was penned to be released, and it became very, very situational. I think we've seen it in pro play work out like once or twice.
I always reference it to Tim. It's Skadinia in LATAM used it on Villa. They were attacking into Trophy and Statue, had control of Red Landing. He came down to study, came up the hatch and killed 3.
Yeah,
that's the only time that air quotes fantasy has been.
I feel
lived.
like Leon Gids did it once, but I might be thinking about a scrim, so I'm just going to pass over that. But again, on this map, Oryx has a lot of...
Wait, so you're saying Leon plays Oryx? Scrim leaks?
He did on Cafe in 2020.
Oh, scrim leaks. That's it, mate.
Whatever.
Trust broken.
Yep, gone. I mean, we've nearly hit the 2-year rule. I think the rule's now like 6 months before you can talk about it, so whatever.
As you were. I'll just completely throw you on a tangent there. I apologise.
Border has a lot of hatches, so it gives a lot of opportunity for that particular rotate, more so than other maps. So I like the Border. I like the Oryx pick. 2 C4s, pulse with plenty of information. I'm liking this as a kind of optimum defensive setup here.
Absolutely. Blackray working his way down the east stairs, just peeking in towards site, peering in, hoping to find someone sat static on a cam, but no one to be found. Can't quite go fishing today. It turns out the water's looking a little bit choppy. For the side of T1, they've got a couple still holding here inside of Armory Archives, and 60 seconds in, Cyclops don't seem super interested in forcing them out of there just yet. They're much more looking directly in towards site here, or at least trying to clear their way through Vent's workshop. Suzushi, the only one sat on the upstairs. Out comes the nade, but explosive back the other way. It's nade for C4 kill. 4 versus 4 at 1 minute 45.
I think, again, map control-wise, the attackers don't have a lot, and this lateral play is fine. However, the defenders can just fall back. As I thought we were going to see Mephi, it looks like he actually wants to stay and fight this. He needs to be careful, because if he gives away his life here, he puts the advantage right back in the favour of Cyclops.
But he's wasting a lot of time here as well. We've already gone through, 20 seconds since those first 2 flurry of kills came flying through. Drones coming in, nades flying through. There's only 4 left on side, for example. So the longer he can waste here, the more effective the team might prove to be as things wear on. No pulse on side, not all that effective as they aren't looking to play on the verticals right now. As mentioned, it was going to be a lateral push coming in from the west side, but they have been stalled out by Mephi. So now really the attention turns towards Cyclops and what they can do to keep things mixing up.
I think maybe they might have a late look with Blackray in case anybody's trying to get above. And this is probably kind of respect to the fact that there's an Oryx on site. They're kind of worrying that an Oryx might come back up CCTV hatch, back up, any of the hatches in workshop, and then try and flank them. Because you can obviously you can get the vet back onto customs from CCTV.
I think this is a really good read by T1 as well, who've turned their focus somewhat out towards this east side, acknowledging, okay, the push has stopped coming in from the west side. Now they must be moving and rotating members around. And they would be right. There are a couple of T1 members starting to stack, T1. Cyclops members starting to stack up on the east side. The plant coming in now from Gadarada as they smoked it out, but Arakaze has got that long angle. The setup, the adaptation was perfect. 2 kills fly through. Now Anaton looking for something here, pushing in through waiting room. Sees the one man, great headshot coming in, almost gets the second, but Mephi is just better. And no doubt the MVP of this round, wasting so much time, getting one of the closing kills. It's going to be another round going the way of T1 as they move up to 5-3.
And let's talk about the map control there.
It's beautiful.
The attack took control of, stock? East stairs?
They got custom open and got inside and in jail, and that was about it.
Jail, yeah. So jail, stock, east stairs. Really not much else. So trying to force a plant when the defenders still control ventilation, they still control workshop, they still control most of the top floor, they still control bathroom, and then by extension they still control tellers, they control the blue hallway just outside tellers. There is not one single safe spot to plant in when the defenders have that much map control. I think that was a misplay on the attack from Cyclops by not going upstairs, not clearing them out, because you can clear every single one of those power positions that the defenders sat in with verticality.
What was really weird was we had the book of who was it? Anderson was playing on the Buck, I think, was sat on the upstairs. No, it wasn't because of a rehost, of course. No, sorry, it was Suzu Shi playing on the Buck. He had upstairs control, and he did open a couple of holes inside of security, but kind of, air quotes, did his job and then moved on. And when Mephi was holding up 3 players inside of custom and supply, they didn't rotate anyone back upstairs to play on those holes and try and shut the man down.
And also, they didn't just... So, when you've got a problem, Mephi was a problem, and it's all down to problem solving. When you've got a problem like that, you can buck him out. Yeah, you can deal with him with a nade, you can flash him, you can take a gunfight. Siege is an FPS game. Ultimately, if you need to, walk 2 people in there, trade him out with kills, you take the map control, you can actually play to have a plant. Because if you control customs, you can control the blue area, and then it does open up a couple of safe planting spots.
Speaking of, it's a very interesting change for you. Anderson, who's been playing on that Iana, playing the entry for the team, has now moved way round to the backside of the team and is playing on the Habana. This one being brought in when they realised that they were attacking in towards custom and supply, likely because they want that hatch up on the top floor. They want to get themselves a few of the things opened up at range as well. Just gives them more options and a considerably less risk than having your Thermite having to get up there and do it up close.
The Habana brings a lot of flexibility as well, because if you think about the wall to jail's just being opened up here, but
that's
also,
so easy.
Also the wall on the east side of the site, you can open up from range with Habana and then have 2 long angles that completely cut the site, as well as any hatches that are potentially reinforced. Now, the hatches, I believe I just saw the hatch be soft there above site, so it looks like potentially T1 are going to use the hatches to rotate back down. However, the Habana can do it all, and I think that's a really nice attacker repick.
Black Ray here still working his way down towards east side as he did in the previous round. Has got himself inside of Tellers and is looking to push in here from the side. Again, if he finds a cheeky angle, it could be absolutely phenomenal. There is no castle on side, so it could be a bit of a stinger. As you say, no one sat on cams means he is pretty free here to keep on pushing, doesn't want to shoot it out. But I think now they know, now someone's jumped on cams and they see exactly where the man is. No doubt a little bit of sweat breaking out there and a couple of T1 members who didn't realise the man was so close.
It's always a thing is when you jump on the cam, you see somebody right outside, it's like, oh my God, boys, they're there. Anyway, as it is, Irrigator goes down, finds the entry def, and that's all. It's another good sign to T1, who again, Arakazi has peaked one, but then died out to Suzy C. He's done his job, and that's absolutely advantage in the hands of T1 so far.
What I will commend somewhat to Cyclops is they have been really good at these trades in the mid-round. You look back at the last game, for example, when we saw Reject playing, no trades to be seen anywhere. So for Cyclops, you are seeing that kind of team maturity element in place. But unfortunately, they are losing out on members in the early round, or that odd kill there that came from Fountain a second ago. They've got 2 playing together to play for the trade, but no one is then there to trade the second man. So now Anderton has got to go in, pushing in completely fresh, being sprayed out through the soft wall here on 90, and then walk straight into Mephi. 4 left alive for T1. This is looking to be 6-3 in a second. And at that point, fresh, you're thinking T1, against all odds, may end up taking the match against Cyclops.
And I believe there was just one caster, Des. Just one caster in the old caster predictions that might have gone for T1.
Was it you?
No, it was you, wasn't it?
I think I changed.
Oh, no.
I did.
No.
I thought about it and I was like, okay, we're starting to see improvement, but I feel like it needs another couple of play days and maybe for things to settle into a weak feet. Cyclops are the kind of team that are going to pick apart a team that hasn't got a solid identity yet. But honestly, I know it's only been this week we've seen the change, but the biggest change they have made is PJH going across to being a support player and Crazy Boy getting on the Twitch. He is far from lighting up the world here and walking through and getting 3, 4, 5Ks in a round like 11 used to back in 2020. Yeah, he's 6-2 here, but he's that quiet player that round to round will get 1 or 2 kills in the mid-round. You'll very rarely see him flash up with a 3K, for example, but think about when they played on Oregon and they got 2 kills in the round, I think it was, attacking into the basement. He just marched into Shiko from blue and killed 2 players, 1 on Pillar, 1 on Shiko. Again, they lost the round there, got no further kills, but it's the fact that you know, dare I say it lives up to his name, that crazier playstyle, the willing to be aggressive, which is what punished him as a support player, is actually giving this team a real edge on the attack.
He's given the freedom to just do it as well, because he probably, especially when he was playing support, had 2 minds.
Yeah.
He's got his support, or 2 caps, let's say caps. He's got his support cap on, and he's got his own play, I want to be aggressive cap on.
Yeah.
Get him off the support, just let him be him. And he's flourishing because of it. I agree. I do like it. I think it potentially somewhat limits PJH a little bit.
Fine.
And it's maybe a weakness that T1 have is they've got no kind of dedicated support player, right?
I think he'll fit into that mold though, right? The curse of the T1 support player will never leave them is the way I look at it. But now you've got Mephi, who's been top rated every game since he started playing this stage. He's looking fantastic. You've got 11 who's starting to warm back up. Arakazi with his constant multi-kills and Crazy Boy firing on all cylinders. That is starting to look like a phenomenal team. And again, I think if you give them a stage here, year to gel a bit more, they could be one of our top contenders later on throughout the year.
I really like APAC North because genuinely every team has a stake where they could be a top team. And the level is just raising every single stage across the league to a point that APAC North and our APAC teams are going to go far internationally. I think within this year, we could well see an APAC team go, to a final of an event.
Ooh, big claim.
Big claim.
Damwon Kia or not, though, is the big question then.
It will be Damwon Kia, I believe. I'm putting that hope on Damwon Kia, but the general level of the rest of the teams has raised significantly as well.
Well, Alligator here knows there's a man sat inside of the office, and it's Crazy Boy holding on the Echo. Mephi, the first to fall here. Suzu Shi finding him out, taking his number, and moving on throughout the round. That was here inside of Customs, and now the Buck can get to work on the downstairs. Now, you touched on this previously, that we didn't see Cyclops really rotating things around. If they've hit us a roadblock, got a bit stuck by the defenders, they wouldn't change things up. They kind of persevere or go for a long rotate across the entire map rather than taking the vertical control. Suzu Shi very clearly is listening to you, because he's now got on the downstairs here, trying to force a couple of T1 members back in towards site. It's not quite scaring Arakazi out of Fountain here, is waiting for his first taste of the enemy team pushing into him as we get towards that last 70 seconds or so.
And again, map control-wise, they're still trying to force a clear so that they can have control of CCTV. I don't think they've fully got it. 11 still has that long angle. Potentially has used that robotic arm to rotate down. Might be able to find a freebie there because it's a rotation the attackers might not have expected.
Absolutely. Looking on the other side of things, though, it's one coming back the other way. Gadarada falling by the wayside as Arakazi picks him out and now might find himself rotating back down. If he'd held on there even half a second more, he would have seen the man. At this point, Alligator's looking for him, a nade in hand, trying to see what he can find out. Of course, praying on the defensive side, which there is not. There is no Wamai on side, meaning those grenades can sing through quite freely. 11 finding a flank and bringing down Suzu Shi, but Cyclops again, I will commend them for it. Very good with this trade-based play and playing together in the mid-round, move up to a 3 versus 2.
PJH probably got a little bit too aggressive there, dropping down the hatch, trying to get the refrag onto the refrag, and got punished for it. 2v3, 15 seconds to go, however, is completely doable for T1.
Here we go, they're trying to step their way through. We've got 10 seconds on the clock. Crazy Boy, I was going to say you can't be whiffing those, my man, but there are the kills they need. They hide on site. The composure is there. And dare we start to say, it's starting to feel like T1 might have found the winning formula in this current team lineup.
I think the fact that they went to this map as well significantly helps them because they're a very gun-heavy team. They're a team that plays off each other a lot. Strategy is what usually lets Team 1 down.